Mr. House's character is clearly being retconned due to the writer's lack of political savvy and imagination, both great things to be deficient in when you go about adapting a popular franchise as a political satire. Mr. House is an awful character to use as an example of the shortfallings of laissez-faire economics, or capitalism as we seem to be calling it nowadays. That's because Mr. House, as he is depicted in Fallout New Vegas, is the perfect model for a capitalist. He recognizes a demand in the market, being the NCR's advancement towards the state of a post-industrial economy in which the basic needs of the majority of its citizens are being met.
I repeat, a post-industrial economy where the basic needs are being met for the majority of its citizens.
The NCR can grow food, mine resources, it can manufacture goods out of these resources, it can protect its citizens, but it cannot meet the needs of its people for the higher tiers of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Companionship, aesthetics, esteem. In other words, it can keep people alive, but not fulfilled. That is what New Vegas provides. Fulfillment is what it has always provided, a city of services. It's about the only thing out there in the Mojave of any worth.
What is the NCR? A society of people desperate to experience comfort, ease, luxury. A society of customers.
But Mr. House isn't just a parasite hoarding wealth for the sake of funding a lifestyle of degeneracy. His accumulation of wealth is being directed towards something greater than his own petty personal needs. It's being directed towards mankind's salvation, the reignition of civilization, the restoration of humanity to a previously achieved technological state, and progress towards an even greater technological height than even the pre-war era had attained. Mr. House is probably the most altruistic capitalist in the history of Fallout. The show can't deal with this. It doesn't care about representing a pre-existing character, so instead distorts and twists him into whatever shape suits the foreign narrative that molded from this desecrated corpse we once called Fallout. And it isn't even as if Mr. House or his economic philosophy cannot be criticized and used to point out the flaws in the real world. The writers are just too lazy to make any effort to create their story within the limitations of Fallout. For example, Mr. House's economic plan does nothing for the poor of New Vegas in the short term. In fact, in cases like the Omertas, it practically preys on the vulnerable. This is something the writers of New Vegas point out through characters written into the world who would naturally form these criticisms based on their own characterization. This would have been obvious to the showrunners had the series adapting Fallout on the West Coast been co-produced by the people who actually made the West Coast Fallouts, rather than a wooden puppet who dreams of being a real boy and a real boy with the writing skills of a wooden puppet, neither of whom knowing the first thing about the West Coast Fallouts or otherwise not giving a shit. But even without the insights of the creators, it's still not hard to write a criticism of Mr. House's economics. New Vegas doesn't really succeed in providing the higher tiers of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It supplies no real comfort, companionship, or intellectual stimulation, just illusions of them. It's a mirage in the desert, luring desperate travelers to their doom. Maybe Mr. House's venture started out good, providing things people needed, but now all he does is sell crappy products, all ditched up nice and pretty that offer nothing of sustenance, where it could be providing people with something real, something that might improve their lives, instead of cheap shots of quickly subsiding dopamine. Vegas is an echo of a more glorious and sublime past that now exists as no more than a mockery of what once was. It's a haven for liars, hacks, fiends, fools, and traitors. And above it all stands Mr. House, a once great entrepreneur, now a callous autocrat completely disconnected from his humanity, farming idiots under the shaky premise that one day he'll take mankind to the stars. One day, once he's stacked enough desecrated corpses to reach the outer limits of the atmosphere. But tell me, do you really want a man so disconnected from his own humanity, so apathetic to the suffering of others, to design the living conditions for a long-term colony vessel? Do you want someone like him in charge of an extraterrestrial frontier society? Does it sound like such a mission would succeed? Would it be even worth it if it did? Would this new world, clean and virgin, not expect the same desecration that was used to propel humanity from their old world? Mr. House might be able to keep people alive, maybe even distracted, but he offers nothing better than that. He'd help mankind to survive. but not to live.
You see that, shoulders? That's me, using the Fallout franchise to construct a genuine work of satire without the need for rewriting the entire story or retconning the lore. Where's my $150 million, Amazon? I don't even believe in everything I've just said. Where's my $150 million?
And with that, we have the capstone on this house of lies that is meant to be the character known as Robert Edwin House.